If you've never used Apple's Keynote, you've probably used a similar program such as Microsoft PowerPoint for making slideshows. Keynote out of the box looks pretty much like a program like PowerPoint, with a bunch of different slides down the left hand side, but it's got some really cool features, and these cool features integrate brilliantly with iBooks Author. So you can see here in this slideshow that what I've got on each slide, at least once I get further down the list of slides, is a bunch of videos. If I double click on these, you'll see that they play. And then if I go into one of the earlier slides, you'll see that it works like a menu. So you can see here it says an interactive guide to jamming with the salsa section of Daniel Rojas's Hard-Boiled Overture, and tap here to learn a part and tap here for all parts together. Now these buttons, if you like, that I've called tap here, you can tell that they're actually links to different slides or to something by the little blue arrow at the bottom right hand corner of them. So if I tap on that and open the inspector, which looks very similar to the inspector in iBooks Author, you will see that if I click on the hyperlinks button that it's a link at the moment to another slide. In fact, in this case, this one is a link to the next slide, which then gives you a list of parts, and you can see that they are also linked as well. In addition, this button here says tap for all parts together, and if I highlight that one, you can see that it's going to jump to slide 14, which is the nearly last slide in the whole collection. Now if I go into this list here of different parts that can be learned, and you'll see that this simple harmony 1 goes to slide 3, so if the user taps on that, or if I were just using it normally in Keynote, if I clicked on it I'd go to that, but in this case if the user taps on it on the iPad, they'll go to the third slide, and on the third slide I've got this video ready to go. Tapping on it will make it play back. Tapping on return to the menu is going to take you back to slide 2, so if they tap there they'll come back in. You can see now that they're navigating kind of like they can in a more app-like thing on the iPad. In addition, some of the slides that I've made here say, for instance, here is some guitar tablature, but clicking this button here is going to take you to the previous slide. As you can see, it says up here, which is going to take you to a page of traditional notation. Or if we go back to this one again, there's a button here for chords only, so that they can go to slide 15, which is going to show them just the chord progression playing back. So I've got 15 slides, all with the musical material needed for learning this arrangement, and the user can tap around that slideshow to get to the thing that they need. Now in Keynote it looks just like a slideshow, but you'll see once it gets into iBooks Author that it's going to work really nicely, as I say, with this sort of app-like behaviour. The second way you might like to use Keynote is to add some simple animation into your iBook. For instance, thinking of a musical way that you could do that, if I go into Sibelius, where I've got a classroom arrangement that I've made of a popular music song, which I'm sure has no issues to do with copyright at all. If I go into, say, the vocal line, and again, as I did in the before, actually I'll just copy and paste this, so Option and G to highlight the area that I'd like to export as a graphic, and I will then just do copy and paste, Command C, and get rid of that, and I'll go into a new file here and paste that in. So you can see here it's not very high quality because I've done it the quick way, but this is just to show you. Now what I might want to do with this, for instance, is to do a little bit of bouncing ball, kind of karaoke animation. I'm just trying to think of a musical example. So if I go into my shapes menu, which in Keynote looks very much like my shapes menu in iBooks Author, you can see here that I can come in and I can change the color of that. So we could make it maybe a filled with a color instead, maybe more of a kind of football color. I suppose depending on your kind of football, that would also mean that it might be a different shape. And then all I need to do from this point, if we imagine that this comes in from the edge, is animate it. And animation's really easy to do in Keynote. So to do the animation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the inspector again, and the inspector of course, still very like the inspector in iBooks Author, although a whole bunch of different options here in Keynote. I'm going to click on the Build Inspector, and I'm going to choose a build-in. Now this means that how I want this to appear on the screen, and you can see that there are an absolute bunch of different ways of doing it. If I'm doing the bouncing ball for my kind of karaoke style, I can actually choose a bouncy entry, and you get a version of it there. And of course, if I press play, I can see the whole slide now with my bouncy ball coming in. Oh, I've got to press the right arrow. There we go. But I might actually want to be a little bit more in control of this moving and exactly the timing of how that works. So from there on, maybe I'll click Action over here on the inspector, and I'm going to just use the Move option. I'm not going to choose any kind of crazy effect. I'm just going to have it go from here to here above the next note, and I can actually put a bend on that if I want it to bounce a teeny bit. Or bounce is the wrong word, but just jump up a little bit there, and then again I can keep pressing on this red button here to add more points to where I want it to go, and each time it will move along. Now I'll need to know the timings between each of those notes, but they can be changed very easily by pressing this little button here. You can see it says duration. So if I've done the timing of my song, then I can time the duration as it goes between each note in the score. Or you can simply perform it live. At the moment, each of these moves is going to happen as I press the next arrow between it. So I could actually record my slideshow. If I go play record slideshow, I can record my slideshow along with the song, so I get exactly the right playback. And I've done that before, to make podcasts of rehearsal tracks for choral pieces that I've composed. So that's one way of doing that. If I get the timings right, I'll probably want that ornamented so that in the iBook it just actually goes smoothly from one to the next. So to do that, I've just clicked this open draw button here, or more options, sorry. It opens that, and you can see this is the number of things that I've asked it to do. So the first thing, it bounces in. So I'm going to say start bouncing in automatically, and then all of these other moves I want to just happen one after another. So I'm going to highlight them all and say automatically after the prior build. So now you can see in the little preview window up here, it bounces in and then it moves from one to the next. And at the moment they're all timed to be 1 second per move, but obviously if it was matching the music, then I would have that timing go along with it as well. And of course you can put music into these as well, so that it does play along with the music, and the music can play automatically as well. And then of course if you want to do sort of more fun or amusing animations just for comedy's sake, then that's quite easy to do. So for instance, if I wanted to have a target for the ball to bounce into, if it were a football and not a karaoke style ball, I could give myself a hanging sloth here, and just sort of put it here at the end of this last note, and then say once that ball reaches the sloth that it's going to drop off the screen. So I can just add this is going to be a build out action because it's going to drop off the screen, and I can then choose, he says, trying to think exactly, move out, there we go, and I want it to go down from top to bottom. There we go, and I want it to go pretty fast. Yes, here it's going to drop out really quickly, and I could even, if I wanted to be really hilariously amazing, just make sure that's going to happen automatically after build 5, I could even have it turn into, at the end, into the squashed sloth image that I just by complete coincidence happen to have prepared for this music education technology video. So I could put my squashed sloth there, and that could appear automatically as the last one drops out. So we could say automatically after build 6, or even, yep, automatically with build 6, but just put a delay there of, I think, 0.2 of a second. So I'll just test this animation in here now and see how completely brilliant it is. So I'll just press the play button. Here comes my ball. Now it's moving 1 second at a time along those notes, and there we go, you can see it. My sloth ends up splattered on the floor. So that's fantastic and extremely musically educational. I'm going to just save that, and it's time to put these Keynote animations into iBooks Author. So I'm going to go into iBooks Author now, and first the Rojas one, which I'll just grab here, bring into iBooks Author, and that's going to take a minute to load in because it's got, of course, all of those bits of video. Perhaps on the next page, while that's updating, I will get my little animation Keynote that I just made, and I'll drag that into here. That should be a bit smaller and fairly instantaneous. And again, as I've said in the other videos, you don't need to worry about these funny bits of paper around them. That's just the layout that I've chosen. It's very easy to turn that off. You also do have some other options. If you're going for the kind of app-like behavior, you might want to go full screen. Transport controls, if you're using it more like a slideshow. I think in this case I'll actually not go full screen, but I'll make that one the same size as a page. And you can see that one is still optimizing. It's saying that it's got 2 minutes of optimizing to do. So if needs be, I'll fast forward to the point. Oh, I think it's just finished as I say that. Okay, so I'm going to attach my iBook now and transfer that one over. There we go. So I'll go to the Rojas one first, which is got all different kinds of mixed media in it. Of course, all of these video files in this could have played very nicely, so I'm just going to make that go full screen, which would probably be a good way to force it to open. All of these media could have just been in an iBook, but you can see that it does give it, if I tap on this top button, it does give it an immediately very app-like behavior. Let's just play one of these. There we go, and I'll just go back to the menu. Let's choose one of the ones that works as guitar tab, so I'll tap view in guitar tab. And so remember, each time I tap, it's just taking me through a different slide. Great, and then all parts together is the score. So that's pretty cool. I'll just close that one, and then let's go and have a look at our animation. Also, I made this nearly the full size of the next page. And so this is just a simple animation, just to show the kind of thing that you can do. I'll just tap on that to play it. And here comes our ball. Oh, it didn't bounce in. There you go. So the animation doesn't look like it's replicated quite as well as the as it is in Keynote on the Mac, but we've still got the basic animation, and the timing has worked pretty well indeed. So that just gives you two ideas for using Keynote files inside your iBook to create things that you couldn't do ordinarily inside iBooks itself.